How we doing, guys? So I am here with Jon Smith, super agent. Hope you don't mind me saying super agent.
No.
Okay. Now I'm sure you've seen some of his videos already, doing interviews with Robbie and whatnot, and talking about, you know, the life of being an agent and everything else. Now, I know you've recently started up a fan agency, so I want to let everyone know exactly about that, and the best person to ask is yourself.
Okay, so I was on a book tour to promote my book, The Deal, which was the life of an agent, or a super agent. And a lot of the fans were talking to me during the time when I was on the road, asking me questions about how to become a football agent and what's it like, and then a few of them started asking technical questions about the game, and they were really intelligent. They were guys who understood what was going on.
Yeah.
They understood tactics, and a couple of them, I think it was at Oxford University, said to me, "We want to be a football agent, can you help us?" And I said, "Look, here's my card, and if it helps, give me a call, let me know." And they did, and they came up with this idea of the fans agency. So they want to be the agent, but they didn't have the connections, of course, to be the football agents. They asked some advice: how do we sign players? This is how we want to manage them. And it's all come together. We put a framework around them. They've started the agency. It's called the Fans Agency. I've become chairperson of it, and the fans own 25% of it.
Wow!
So the first time, the first time football fans have actually been able to. It's the first bit of turf they've trodden on. They've been supporters. They've been merchandise purchasers, ticket purchasers. They've been involved in getting boardrooms sorted at clubs like Portsmouth. They've never been on the football agent's turf. This is the first time.
So anyone can get involved in this?
Yeah, you can. It's fundraising on Crowdcube. I think they're nearly there with their fundraising now. They've got a little bit more money to raise, maybe about 30, 40, 50 grand, and then they're there. And
maybe I need
signing
to go
players next year.
Maybe I need to go and invest in that then.
Everybody should. Please put your money in. Little as £10 finds you a little corner of this agency.
Wow, I could be the next Stan Kroenke.
Would you want to be the next Stan Kroenke?
Owner of Arsenal? Yes.
Yeah.
Stan Kroenke the person? No.
Okay, so yeah, we get that. I understand that sentiment too, and I'd love to own Arsenal too, but it's probably not going to happen. But I've had players at Arsenal.
I know.
I've owned little pieces of Arsenal.
Yeah, speaking of that, one of your players that you mentioned at Arsenal was Andrey Arshavin.
Yes.
And from an Arsenal fan's perspective, I'd say he had a mixed time at the club. Came to us with a big reputation. There were glimpses of
the 4-1,
the Anfield, the 4-4,
4-4. Sorry, 4-4.
He scored 4.
Yeah.
But it was your story about how you got him here, right on deadline day. For the people that don't know, do you want to briefly just explain what actually happened in those, I'd say, last 48 hours of the window?
Well, yeah, we've been really close. It's been going since November, and Arsene and the Russian club Zenit had closed the gaps. Ken Fry was actually acting for Arsenal at the time, and they were still about $1 million and change apart. And it got to the very last knockings. We'd reduced the bill from, I think they were at 15 million, and Arsenal were at 10, 11, 12. We got to just under 14. Yeah, just under 14 million. But we were a day away from the end of the transfer window. Then we got a little reprieve because it snowed heavily that day.
Yeah.
And they pushed the transfer window back by 24 hours. So we had another 24 hours to negotiate. And we managed to get just over the 14 million. So we're only about £1 million apart now. And we just couldn't bridge that gap. We got to like 2 hours beforehand. And as I remember it, I think it was Ivan Gazidis' first week on the job. And I thought, we're going to earn a big commission on this. It's going to be a big deal. Why don't I just throw in whatever's needed, and I'll get it back somehow on the commission,
so you
or whatever.
threw $1 million.
So we set £1 million on the table, and Ivan came back to me with about 5 minutes to go, and he said, "So, how much have you cost me?" And I went, "Oh, maybe he thinks he's paying." I went, "It's about 1.1 million, with all the surcharges and bits and pieces." And he went, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Okay, we've got to finish this off. How long have we got? We've got 3 minutes." So we were. In those days, you had to email, had to be a physical written agreement. Now it's all done by the TMS system, the electronic system, which was introduced because of this deal.
Wow.
Anyway, we eventually couldn't, the Arsenal fax machine, my fax machine, and the Russian fax machine wouldn't talk to each other for some reason, and we're now in the last minute.
Wow.
And I managed to get the Russians to send an email to say agreed, with all the backup paperwork that we had, with 4 seconds to go.
Wow.
And then they pontificated at the FA for another 24 hours about, is this legitimate, isn't it? But by that time it was headlines everywhere, so they couldn't really say no. So we just got it in with 4 seconds to go, and that changed the transfer system to an electronic transfer system.
And is it true that whilst this was going on, Arshavin was actually in your house playing FIFA with your sons?
He was playing FIFA with my sons in the games room, and he was playing for Arsenal. And that was his debut, really.
That kind of typifies what kind of person he was. He does seem very strange in many respects, some of the things that he does. But one of the names that you mentioned there was Ivan Gazidis, and you said that it was his first week in the job.
Yeah.
Do you feel he's about to come to the end of his time at Arsenal?
Oh, wow. That's a suppositionary question. My guess, and it is an intelligent guess, no more than that, or an unintelligent guess, where are we now, the 3rd of September? My unintelligent guess is that he's on his way to Milan.
Really?
Yeah.
And what would be your unintelligent thoughts as to why he would be leaving?
Okay, Ivan's on a very big salary, everybody knows, but he owns nothing of the club. Elliott, who are the fund that took over AC Milan from the defaulting Chinese owners, are sellers, they're not owners. So my guess, unintelligent guess, is that they'll be saying to Ivan, here's a huge bonus on top of what you would earn at Arsenal. Oh, and by the way, here's a little piece of it. Because they'll be sellers in the next 3 years. He could make himself a few, possibly 10 and so million, who the hell knows, but a lot of millions it's probably worth learning Italian for.
Wow. The other thing I want to ask is obviously the takeover. Looks like it's about to go through now, with Stan Kroenke owning the club and everything. What do you feel that spells for Arsenal and for the fans?
Yeah, I talked to Robbie about this a couple of weeks ago. I'm not actually as negative as everybody else is, and I understand the negativity completely because he hasn't been the ideal owner, and I'm a fan. So I'd look at that and go, really? But I have a little bit of hope in the midst of my thinking, and that is that if Josh wants it, if Josh Kroenke as his son wants it and wants to make a name for himself and wants to do something positive, then he has to do it in the right way.
Yeah.
And if he's got the financial clout, which he has through the family, and he's been given a free rein, a reasonable free rein to achieve what he wants to achieve, then I think it's not as gloomy as the fans would potentially suggest it could be.
I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest.
No, I understand. I completely understand that, and it's just me doing that, really.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a positive. I want to be a half full rather than a half empty guy. But I completely understand how people would. I mean, when you see someone like Usmanov, who was obviously keen to splash the cash, get involved, give it a pizzazzful face, and then you see Stan Kroenke sitting there, which has been a fairly dour leadership to date. It's not encouraging.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, if Josh is his man, and I think he may well be, I think there's hope.
Hopefully. Last couple of questions, and I'm going to go away from Arsenal quickly. You talk about some of the players you represented. One of them's Diego Maradona. Yeah. We all saw his antics during the World Cup, and how lively he is, shall we say. What was he like to manage as a player? Was he just like that as well?
No, Diego is just one big ball of emotion. He's one big ball of energy. And that's what I loved about him. His energy was fantastic. And it was all positive energy. It was all fun-loving, and he's got this God-given talent, and he had this little, God must have sprinkled some special dust on him when he was born, because he'd walk in a room all of 4'0", and people would not know who he was because he just had this pizzazz. So really, his problem at the moment is that he doesn't sleep well. He takes sleeping pills. Yeah. If he has a drink or two during a social event that day, it just doesn't mix very well, and he goes off like a firecracker. And when I was working with him, he wasn't a firecracker, or he wasn't a jumping jack. He was just full of this positive energy. So we had this wonderful time with him at Napoli, where he was. We managed to get him special dispensation to drive through red traffic lights because all his Ferraris got beaten up with people jumping all over them. And you know, Naples is a very religious city, and they have like big posters of Jesus hanging off the buildings, and next door big posters of Maradona the same size as Jesus hanging. It was insane, completely
That's
insane.
mad.
But it was a wonderful life, and he was on his day for me still the greatest footballer on this planet. Unbelievable.
Last question. When I was reading your book, I noticed one of your many adventures was a trip to Ukraine. That's how the book actually started. The reason why I'm asking you this is because Arsenal have just drew a team in Ukraine in the Europa League. Now, I'm going out there. Do you have any advice for me?
Yeah, don't go. No, no, it's not. Look, I was out there during the middle of a war. Russia had, supposedly invaded and were taking the Crimea as part of their entrails. So, I mean, it's much better now. It's okay. It's peaceful there. Look, the problem is that the football agency world in Eastern Europe, there are a proliferation of organisations, shall we say, / gangs, who control the financial element of some of the transfer dealings. And a few of them are on turf wars, like they are here in London with knife crime.
Yeah.
So, I got caught up in all that, unfortunately, and it got a bit scary at a moment or two in time. But it's a bit easier today, unless you're involved in a major football deal that may have ownership either side. But in reality, if you're a supporter, you'll be fine. Just keep your head down. Which in your case means duck.
Well, there we go. John, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Thank you so much. And for everyone out there that wants to get involved,
join the fans agency, be a football agent.
Yeah, I'm going to leave all the links in the description. And if you have not read his book either, trust me, read it. I'm not a big reader, but I read that and brilliant. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you lot soon. I'm out of here.